Hi, what's up? Our president is a charlatan, and I can't say that enough. Him and Putin need to just go and jump up and down and celebrate the fact that they have converted South Africa too into a little bit of a Ukraine, but we don't know it. We've been cooed by Russia. It's that basic, due to the fact that our president's indiscretion with that alliance that he has with Putin has caused him to literally and entirely and comprehensively disregard the fact that his own nation is choking up a storm and languishing. Russia his own land. Moving on, whatever. So I was speaking about how South Africa does not get to play the card of Russia invading Ukraine for the gas crisis, and yet they're doing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Rubbish, rubbish, and rubbish some more is literally what I'm out here in these streets highlighting as an issue. Mamelang ne on this channel, on this news channel that I was watching on YouTube. They not only spoke about how it is that it's been 17 years of just harlotry in this country, wreaking havoc in the lives of citizens on the ground, but that there are alternatives in wind and solar energy. Why would South Africa not want to take on those contract for wind and solar energy? Like I said, it's a racist issue. They don't want to enable white people, right, in this country, because they're the ones with the idea and with the structures in place already to eradicate the circumstance. And secondly, it is their alliance with Russia, their gas deals with Russia that is keeping them maintaining gas contracts and structures and reliances that frankly are no longer usable, throwing money into sunken costs. And so for those reasons, random stupid stuff like coal, they're still busy using coal, even though their power plants can't keep coal dry in wet weather because they are ancient, they're decrepit, and secondly they are old, and it's to try and rebuild those power plants that are all falling apart at the seams. It's going to take a lot more time than to embark on an alternative energy strategy in this land. And I believe one of the biggest reasons they don't want to embark on an alternative energy strategy is because an alternative energy strategy will essentially put off the table certain benefactors to the energy deals in this country of a foreign nature internationally from cashing in on this developing country within BRICS. I believe the alliance with Russia and perhaps China is one of the biggest reasons why South Africa refuses to correct the electrical infrastructure, because there is a lot of money to be made from maintaining the current structure and trying to upgrade or to correct, basically throw money into the sunken cost that is this current power plant crisis. There is a lot to be gained by Russia and China in us maintaining an old system that they can rock up like Superman and heroically rescue our own independent channels in this country, our own minds that can fix this thing, are not sufficient for Cyril Ramaphosa to maintain his strength of relationship and partnership with Ping and Xi and Putin, especially Putin. So we are basically just being drowned as a country because of some tacit secret deal that our president has with some nefarious, ominous megalomaniacs off the planet that are into invading sovereign lands and taking them as their own, as if though that's okay. Just the alliances that South Africa has internationally says a lot about what the country is prepared to do to its own citizens. Here it is that China's trying to take over Taiwan. Here it is that Russia has already done a job inside Ukraine. And so if you imagine that a child is only as good as his or her daddy, since China and Russia are South Africa's daddies, then you can understand that South Africa is similar in its mindset to indeed China and Russia. And so individual citizens on the ground, being like their big fat daddy, the president, will also go and coon Jeffela out of the blue because they can. Individual lives on the ground. I've had my entire life stolen from. I feel like I'm Ukraine. Do you understand? Everything of mine has been usurped. They have said I don't get to live. I once went from being a middle class, healthy lady running up the corporate ladder, doing her thing, about to get a great future, and then lo and behold, God have mercy on a sister, they just one day decided that they're going to invade me, and now I can't even have a life, and every so often there is a bomb in my city, and if I don't leave to a neighboring country, I won't survive. So the South African ecosystem is satanic that way. It is clear by who it is that we stand allegiance to that we are cursed and condemned. Even the fact that South Africa went out of its way to stand with Palestine over Israel, God said, this is my foreign policy. If you curse my land, Israel, I shall curse you. It's basic. So this land is cursed, it's very clear, and is standing with all of the wrong people in the world. And yet, here it is that internally, locally, when we try to make recommendations to an obviously decrepit, irresponsible government, they won't take up the counsel because they're too busy thinking about 1984, and they're also too busy thinking about China and Russia. And for those reasons, we can't even breathe. Historical alliances have tied South Africa down to our lifestyle of sin. And for those reasons, we can't even breathe as citizens on the ground, to a point where, albeit Russia having electricity 24 hours a day, and so too China, we gotta be a member of BRICS that doesn't know any such luxury. They can't even realize when their daddies have not been entirely sufficiently supportive of them. I don't understand this thing. There are more than enough solutions on the ground that have been tabled in South Africa to fix this issue, and for a long enough amount of time for this stage of load shedding to not even be a thing. Listen to this dude that I was listening to on the news channel, SABC News or whatever, that was groaning, moaning and lamenting about the indiscretion of our government. And you know, it's so sad, like whenever white people get interviewed in this country, they just like, they have to watch their words so much lest they should say something that will make them get called out for some random racist indiscretion. You belong to apartheid, you might as well be Terra Blanche. And this dude, using all different kinds of, you know, politically correct language, was speaking about how it is that Cyril Ramaphosa just basically went on right ahead and accused Eskom of treason. Why? Because Cyril Ramaphosa, every time there is a crisis in this land of electrical proportions, he comes from wherever he's at in an international meeting, like 20 whatever 9008, since he belongs to that like body of souls. Upon flying back to South Africa to just basically be like, I'm back now, so I guess we're in stage what now? Yeah, he just flies back to be communicated to just how bad the situation is. Fix it? No, he doesn't. Okay, him and every other president that's come before him in this new regime. Listen up. President Cyril Ramaphosa goes on right ahead and accuses Eskom of not getting their act together, putting their like panties in a bunch, because look at what you're doing to the country. He, upon being petitioned for a solution for this thing, just calls Eskom and says, guys, get your act together. Patong, whatever happened to the energy minister of this country? Why isn't he getting fired? Exactly. Who is in a position to foster deals, like embark on contracts, frankly, that can fix the situation real fast? Like, it is in his prerogative, his power, and his veto, like pen power, to just scrap Eskom altogether. Like, start the process of, what do you call this thing? Like derailing them or something. Just like, you know, they liquidate the randoms. Like, I don't know, some other news reporter spoke about how Eskom is similar to SAA. They're gonna have to keep on getting bailed out and bailed out and bailed out until kingdom come, frankly, literally, till the second return of Jesus Christ. And herein lies the deal. These bailouts that are literally taxpayers' money that we can't afford to keep on throwing ought to be invested, all of that money, in where it is that it makes sense. If you must start a new airline, and call it South African Airways, if at all SAA is the thing that you're gunning for. If at all you must start a new electricity company, then start it, because unless you start something, there is never going to be a solution on the ground. It's clear there's a whole bunch of corruption, uprooting needs to happen. It's not like we don't have engineers, it's not like we don't have people that are smart, it's that nobody is listening to them. Nobody is listening to whoever has a nugget or two of advice to give. All of these skills that Eskom could be invested in other electrical powering ecosystems that are actually working for the country. Instead, they are wasting valuable brains, valuable minds that studied valuable degrees at valuable institutions on like an organization that is frankly sinking and continuously getting bailed out perpetually. Like, so many corrupt people are being found wanting all over the show, and the company in and of itself is no longer producing anything valuable, but because it just happens to be a monopoly for electricity provision in the country, it's being kept aloft. For what? When there is a solution. For what exactly? So why continue to bail out Eskom when you can just create a new Eskom and call it Beskom? I don't know, give it a name that sounds similar, but the institution gotta go. It's gotta go. There's gotta be alternative forms of energy, and these have been a possibility for the longest amount of time, and yet nobody is even, no, not nobody. Our government, you know what, guys? South Africa might as well be Zimbabwe in the days of Robert Mugabe. ANC might as well be in and of itself, in its unitary state, Robert Mugabe. A president that refuses to leave even after it becomes clear that you're not doing your job.